This is the moment we've been warning about since the Hoot conversation, since the Black Hawk Down parallel, since Mogadishu. What's happening right now? A US F-15 has been shot down over southern Iran, Kogiluye and Boyar Ahmad province. Search and rescue is underway. Refueling aircraft and 2 helicopters spotted flying low over Khuzestan province, confirmed by CBS News, verified imagery. Iran's state media claims Iranian forces shot the plane down. The provincial governor has issued a statement. The priority is capturing the American crew alive. A bounty of 10 billion tomans, approximately 50,000 pounds, has been offered by local traders for anyone who finds the American intruder. The BBC has contacted CENTCOM. No response yet. Why this is the Mogadishu moment? Everything we discussed, every parallel, it's here. In Mogadishu, the mission changed the instant the helicopter went down. The objective shifted from capture Aidid's lieutenants to get our people back. Everything else, policy, strategy, exit timeline, collapsed into a single imperative. Right now, in southern Iran, the same thing is happening. The war's objectives: nuclear prevention, military degradation, nearing completion, 2 to 3 more weeks. All of it is now secondary to one question: where is the pilot? If the pilot is captured alive by the IRGC or local forces, Iran possesses the most powerful leverage of the entire war. An American pilot on Iranian television would be the single most consequential image since February 28th. It changes every calculation. The withdrawal timeline, the ceasefire negotiations, the political dynamics, everything. If the pilot is killed, the war's domestic dynamics shift in the opposite direction. Toward rage, toward escalation, toward the ground operations the president just took off the table. A dead American pilot in Iran triggers the same emotional cascade as the Mogadishu images. But in a war with 50,000 troops in theater and nuclear facilities nearby, if the pilot is rescued, the search and rescue operation itself becomes the story. American helicopters flying low over Iranian territory, vulnerable to exactly the asymmetric threats we've been tracking. Every minute of the rescue is a minute where another aircraft could be hit. The governor's statement. Read it again. Those who succeed in capturing or killing hostile enemy forces will be specially commended by the governor's office. Capturing or killing. The provincial governor of an Iranian province has just authorized civilians to hunt an American pilot. A bounty has been set. This is the human terrain nightmare that Hoot understood instinctively. The entire population becomes the threat, and the pilot on the ground is alone in a country of 90 million people who have been bombed for 35 days. The F-15 crew, 1 or 2 people depending on the variant, is on the ground in a hostile country where the government has offered a reward for their capture or death. The search and rescue helicopters are flying over terrain Iran knows intimately. Every minute that passes without recovery increases the probability of capture. What happens next? The next hours determine the war's trajectory more than any speech, any Truth Social post, or any market movement. If the pilot is rescued, the war continues on its current trajectory. The speech's nearing completion narrative survives, barely. But the shootdown itself proves that Iran's air defenses are not 100% annihilated, as Trump claimed last night. The B-52s flying over Iran just became less safe. The myth of total air superiority, the foundation of the entire victory narrative, is shattered by a single surface-to-air missile. If the pilot is captured alive, everything changes. Iran has a hostage in uniform. The withdrawal timeline is frozen. You cannot leave while a pilot is in captivity. The negotiations Trump called irrelevant become the only thing that matters. Iran's price for the pilot's return will include things the US has refused to offer: ceasefire, sanctions relief, Hormuz recognition. The war that was nearing completion becomes indefinite. If the pilot is killed, the political pressure to escalate becomes overwhelming. The ground operations the president took off the table come back on the table. The 2 to 3 weeks becomes however long it takes, and the frustrated Trump, the one who posts Stone Ages at 5 a.m., becomes the only Trump that matters. What the speech said last night: their radar is 100% annihilated. They have no anti-aircraft equipment. We are unstoppable as a military force. An F-15 was just shot down over Iran by the forces that have no anti-aircraft equipment, over the country whose radar is 100% annihilated. Hoot's principle: the enemy gets a vote. The enemy just voted with a surface-to-air missile. Trump said last night the hard part is done. The hard part just started. It's a pilot on the ground in Iran, and the governor is offering a reward. Once that first bullet goes past your head, politics and all that shit just goes right out the window. The bullet just went past. Donald Trump has defied every prediction of consequence. Access Hollywood didn't end him. Impeachment didn't end him. January 6th didn't end him. Indictments didn't end him. Every time the institutional world said, "This is the line," he crossed it and discovered there was no line. The gravity never applied. And it trained all of us, supporters and opponents alike, to wonder if gravity itself was optional. If political physics had been rewritten, if the rules that governed every other leader simply didn't apply to this one. But war is not politics. War is not a news cycle. War is not a courtroom or a ballot box or a social media platform. War is the one arena where reality cannot be negotiated, cannot be branded, cannot be posted through. The bullet doesn't care about your approval rating. The surface-to-air missile doesn't watch Fox News. The pilot descending over Kogaluya province is not a narrative. He's a human being in a country that wants to capture him alive and parade him on television. This is the gravity that doesn't bend. Trump has spent his life in arenas where the consequences are abstract. Money, reputation, votes, legal exposure, all of these can be managed, delayed, appealed, spun. War produces consequences that are concrete, immediate, and irreversible. A dead pilot cannot be appealed. A captured pilot cannot be spun. A shot-down F-15 cannot be rebranded as a victory. The question being asked: will Trump become a fool to war's gravity? Is the question every wartime leader faces. And the answer, historically, is yes. Always yes, because war's gravity is stronger than any individual. It broke Lincoln, who was the greatest of them. It broke LBJ, who was the most powerful. It broke Bush, who was the most certain. The gravity of war is that it reveals the gap between what you say and what is. And the gap cannot be closed with words. Trump said in front of the nation on prime time, their radar is 100% annihilated. They have no anti-aircraft equipment. Today, an F-15 is down. That's gravity. That's the universe refusing to bend. The Mogadishu-Somalia comparison. Military superiority doesn't negate the enemy owning the terrain, is the lesson that has been available since 1993 and has been refused every time. The U.S. had superiority in Mogadishu, in Fallujah, in Korangal Valley, in every engagement where it lost the strategic contest while winning the tactical one. The terrain isn't just geography, it's population, culture, knowledge, patience, and will. Iran has all five. The F-15 had speed, stealth, and weapons. The terrain won. My predictions. The downed F-15. Pilot rescued alive within 24 to 48 hours, 40%. The search and rescue is underway. The U.S. has extraordinary SAR capability, dedicated teams, helicopters, tanker support, and air cover. The imagery of refueling aircraft and 2 helicopters over Khuzestan suggests the operation is already active. If the crew ejected safely and is in a remote area, recovery is possible. But the governor's bounty and the Capture Alive directive means local civilians and IRGC ground forces are also searching. It's a race. The terrain matters. Kogiluye and Boyer Ahmad is mountainous, rural, and difficult for helicopters. It's not desert. It's the Zagros mountain foothills. Visibility is limited. The population is loyal to the regime. Every hour that passes reduces the probability of rescue. Pilot captured alive by Iranian forces, 30%. This is the scenario that changes everything. Iran has ground forces, local militia, and a civilian population actively searching. The bounty incentivizes every person in the province to look. If the crew is injured from ejection, their ability to evade is compromised. The IRGC has trained for this scenario. If captured, Iran gains the most powerful negotiating lever of the war. A uniformed American prisoner on Iranian state television would dominate every news cycle worldwide. The withdrawal timeline freezes. The irrelevant deal becomes the only thing that matters. Iran's price goes up dramatically. Full ceasefire, sanctions relief, recognition of the Hormuz Protocol, possibly Hormuz toll legitimacy. Pilot killed in crash by hostile fire or by captors. 15%, either killed in the shootdown, killed during attempted capture, or killed by civilians seeking the bounty. If the death is confirmed and images circulate, the domestic political dynamics split. The anti-war majority wants to leave before more die, but the emotional response to an American killed on Iranian soil pushes toward retaliation. Trump's instinct, fight back very hard, activates. Escalation becomes likely in the immediate term, even if withdrawal accelerates in the medium term. Situation remains unresolved for days. 15%. The crew's fate is unknown, neither rescued nor confirmed captured. This is the worst scenario for decision-making because every option is frozen. You can't withdraw while a pilot is missing. You can't negotiate because you don't know what Iran has. You can't escalate because you might kill your own people. The uncertainty paralyzes the command structure. My predictions. Strategic impact. Does this escalate the war? 35%. Trump's instinct is retaliation. Fight back very hard. The speech already promised extremely hard strikes for 2 to 3 weeks. A shoot-down gives him emotional justification to intensify. But escalation means more aircraft over Iranian airspace that is now demonstrably still defended, despite his claim of 100% annihilated radar. Every pilot who flies the next sortie knows an F-15 just got shot down. The risk calculus for every mission changes. The escalation scenario, massive retaliatory strikes on the area where the shoot-down occurred, expanded target list, acceleration of the bombing timeline. This is emotionally satisfying and strategically counterproductive. It doesn't recover the pilot, and it increases the risk to other aircraft. Does this prompt swift withdrawal? 25%. If the pilot is rescued quickly, the incident becomes an argument for leaving sooner. We've done enough. The risk is rising. Get out before we lose more. The shoot-down shatters the total air superiority narrative that justified continued operations. If the air isn't safe, the rationale for continued bombing erodes. But withdrawal, while a pilot is missing or captured, is politically impossible. You don't leave people behind. The Mogadishu lesson, the Bergdahl lesson, the Iran hostage crisis lesson. America does not leave its people. The withdrawal timeline is hostage to the pilot's fate. Does this change nothing because Trump ignores it? 20%. This calls back to the gravity parallel. The possibility that Trump treats the shoot-down the way he's treated every other setback, minimizes it, reframes it, posts something else, moves on. We've lost very few aircraft. The pilot is fine. This proves we need to hit them harder. The information architecture that has allowed him to define reality for a decade might hold one more time. But this is harder to ignore than market numbers or poll results. A pilot is a person with a name, a family, a hometown, if the name becomes public. And it will. The story has a human face that can't be scrolled past. The families of the 13 dead said, "Finish the job." The family of this pilot will say, "Bring them home." Those two demands may be incompatible. Does this become the defining moment that ends the war? 20%. Mogadishu ended U.S. involvement in Somalia within months. The images of a dead American soldier dragged through the streets collapsed public support overnight. If this incident produces comparable images, a captured pilot on Iranian TV, wreckage with American markings displayed in Tehran, a bounty hunter's video on social media. It could be the single event that makes the war politically unsustainable, regardless of what the president wants. The 62% who oppose ground troops, the 52% who oppose the war, the friend with the Lexus who said, "It's already over," the Breitbart commenter who upvoted the bunker post, the Blaze homepage that ignores the war. All of them are one image away from the war becoming the only thing anyone talks about. And that image might be descending on a parachute over southern Iran right now. The terrain lesson. Military superiority doesn't negate the enemy owning the terrain. It never has. And the F-15, the most capable air superiority fighter in human history, a machine that has never been shot down by an enemy in over 50 years of service, just met the terrain. The terrain isn't the mountains of Kogaluye. The terrain is a country that has been bombed for 35 days and is still fighting. The terrain is a governor who issues bounties. The terrain is a population that has been told for 47 years that America is the enemy, and that has now spent 5 weeks watching that enemy's bombs fall on their bridges and their holiday celebrations. The terrain is 90 million people who know the landscape, who know the hiding places, who know where a parachute might land. The F-15 was built to dominate the sky. The sky is not the terrain is below, and the terrain belongs to them. This just in breaking. 1 rescued, 1 still missing. And the Washington Post just wrote the paragraph that ends the unstoppable military force narrative forever. Friday's incident appears to belie Trump's frequent claims that U.S. aircraft are roaming the skies over Iran unimpeded. In his speech Wednesday night, the president said, "They have no anti-aircraft equipment. Their radar is 100% annihilated. We are unstoppable as a military force." 48 hours. That's how long 100% annihilated lasted before reality annihilated the claim. The facts. 1 F-15E down in southern Iran. 2 crew. Pilot and weapons systems officer. 1 recovered, 1 still missing. The IRGC claims it shot the plane down with anti-aircraft fire. The U.S. hasn't confirmed or denied the cause. The IRGC also claims an F-35 was destroyed, unverified and likely false, but the F-15 wreckage is confirmed. Search and rescue is active. C-130 tankers refueling HH-60G rescue helicopters at low altitude 90 miles from the Iraqi border. CSIS analyst Kansian: the fact that they are flying so low and slow indicates willingness to take a lot of risk. These helicopters and their crews are now the most vulnerable American assets in the entire theater. Flying slow, flying low, over hostile territory while the governor's bounty is still active. The second crew member. This is the thread that holds the war's future. One person is still on the ground in Iran. Every minute that passes increases the probability of capture. General Slife's quote is the professional military assessment. The longer somebody is on the ground, the less opportunity you have to safely recover them. The IRGC's Tasneem report mentions only one crew member, a pilot who ejected and landed inside the country. If they're aware of only one, they may not know the weapons systems officer also ejected. That could mean the second crew member is evading separately, or it could mean the second crew member didn't eject successfully. The next hours determine whether this is a close call or a hostage crisis. Trump's gravity test. Trump has consistently portrayed a figure who thinks he can dance underwater and not get wet. But this is different from every previous test. This is not Access Hollywood. Access Hollywood was words. This is wreckage with American markings on Iranian soil, photographed by Iranian state media and distributed worldwide. Impeachment was institutional. This is a person with a name that will be public by tomorrow, whose family is watching CNN right now. The indictments were legal abstractions. This is a rescue helicopter flying low and slow over the Zagros foothills while someone with a bounty on their head is hiding in the mountains. The Washington Post's framing is precise: a potential political liability for President Donald Trump. That's the gentlest possible language for what this actually is: the physical manifestation of the gap between what the president says and what is real. They have no anti-aircraft equipment. An F-15 was shot down. Their radar is 100% annihilated. The IRGC tracked and engaged a stealth-configured fighter. We are unstoppable. A crew member is missing in hostile territory. Trump has always been able to redefine reality because the consequences of his previous statements were abstract. Poll numbers, market movements, legal filings. The F-15 wreckage is not abstract. It's metal and fire and a person who hasn't been found. Can he dance through this? Maybe. He danced through "I like people who weren't captured" about John McCain. He might post, "Our brave pilot is fine, the plane had a malfunction, Iran is lying about shooting it down, the mission continues." He might make it about the successful rescue of the first crew member rather than the missing second one. He might attack the media for covering it. He's done all of these things before with other crises. But the second crew member is the variable he can't control. If that person is captured alive and appears on Iranian television, no amount of posting changes the image. The image becomes the war, just like Mogadishu. The updated count. The Post gives us the corrected numbers: 13 Americans killed, nearly 370 wounded. The wounded number jumped from 303 to 370. 67 more casualties that were disclosed quietly while the president was giving victory speeches. The fourth F-15 loss of the war. 3 to Kuwaiti friendly fire, 1 to, apparently, Iranian anti-aircraft fire that doesn't exist. What comes next? The prediction percentages from my earlier assessment are shifting based on one rescued. Second crew member rescued within 24 hours, 45%. The SR operation is active. They found the first one. If the second ejected in the same area, recovery is possible. But the IRGC is also searching, and the terrain favors the defenders. Second crew member captured, 30%. The bounty is active. The population is hostile. The IRGC claims awareness of the incident. Every hour reduces the rescue window. Second crew member's fate unknown for days, 15%. Worst case for decision-making. The war freezes around one person. Second crew member killed, 10%, either in the ejection, on the ground, or during attempted capture. Impact on the war's trajectory, regardless of outcome. The total air superiority narrative is dead. The B-52s flying over Iran are no longer flying over a defenseless country. Every pilot on every future sortie knows the air defenses are not 100% annihilated. The risk calculus has changed for every remaining mission in the 2 to 3 weeks window. The war just got its human face, not a statistic, not a target count. A person missing in the mountains of southern Iran while rescue helicopters fly low and slow and the governor offers a reward. War makes honest fools of us all, even the ones who thought they were unstoppable. The harvest keeps receipts, and the receipt today is an F-15 in pieces on Iranian soil 48 hours after a speech that said it couldn't happen. Count the living, pray for the missing, and remember, gravity always wins.